Day 4, final day, big clash, first race. Triumph Hurdle. Blood Destiny now 7-4 favourite. Lossiemouth 15-8. Gala Marcial, I'm going with. Or Gala Marceau. One of the 5-1. Comfort Zone 10-1. And the rest don't have a chance, 20-1 bar.
No.
Who are you going for? Are you going to pick the same horse that Paul Townend's going to pick?
No, Lossiemouth.
Are you sticking with Lossiemouth?
I'm sticking with Lossiemouth. Gets the weight. And for me, the last run was... I mean, you can put a line straight through it, can't you? I mean, the quickest part of the race, she gets baffled back. She's fighting for a place, never mind to make ground back. She's fighting to get, back to a pace to keep with the group. And then she makes some ground up, but you look back and Willie said he didn't want Paul to give her a hard run to the line, and he was fuming. And, Paul's obviously want a gun to make her win. So if he's fuming that Paul's asked her too much of her, I think he knew straight away she wasn't going to win. But for me, it was a first run over in England, which was the most impressive. That really sold me, that one. Where she beat Zarak the Brave, Comfort Zone. She beat them quite comfortably as well. Danny Mullins was on that day.
Yeah, I think you could go down the line of Paul Townend's maybe got a bit of an issue. Does he think much of her? Obviously, he picked Zarak the Brave the first time out when Danny Mullins won on Lossiemouth. He then is on Lossiemouth, gets a beat, Gala Marcial. Be interesting if he does pick Blood Destiny. What's he seeing at home? Is he thinking she's not good enough to win? Maybe was it an hard race? Was she gaining on her in the end? Gala Marcial, maybe not. Gala Marcial did seem to keep going, was quite keen early on, but managed to keep going. So I think it's definitely a tight race. Obviously, one of these three is going to win. UK have got nothing, Comfort Zone has beaten the best of the UK scriptwriter, and that the scriptwriter was terrible next time out.
Yeah,
I think. Blood Destiny is just a weird one. I think he's obviously come in for some money. I think the whole Paul Townend maybe picking. I think one of the other preview nights it maybe got mentioned that Paul was going to pick Blood Destiny to ride. But I mean, the form of the Fairy House Maiden has been franked. He does look a serious animal. Has to give obviously £7 to Lossiemouth, which could maybe swing it. But he looks like a big galloper. I think the track will suit. I think obviously he's going to go a favourite. I think the ground could be an issue if it comes up good. I do think this horse wants it more soft to heavy. I think obviously his wins have been on heavy. I think if it comes up any more than good to soft, I won't be with him. I think Lossiemouth gets the £7. I think she's going to go real close. I think Gala Marcial, she probably runs a bit too keen. Obviously, Triumph Hurdles, they always go off way too quick. I think that could be her race done. If she's up with a pace and she runs too keen, I think she ain't going to stay on. I don't think. I think that could put her out the window. And I think it's between Lossiemouth and Blood Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's probably a bit of a toss of a coin, so I might just have to agree with you and say the £7 going to pull it Lossiemouth's way. And I think Paul's going to choose wrong again.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, just a quick one. I think the way Lossiemouth runs, she's got very high cruising speed. She stays on. And I think that will be the decider in the Triumph. Like you say, you need a horse that's staying on. I think Lossiemouth would be so much better stopping the front pair because she come over, she raced, temperament is brilliant, settles really well, nice gallop, nice jumper. And I mean, you could say the last day, you write a line through that and she's even money, she's odds on. I mean, Paul was on her the last day. He's messed up the tactics. And he's jump riding, like I said there. I think her most impressive run today was the first run over, and it was Danny Mullins on that day. Paul Townend wasn't even on her. Paul's had sort of two runs. One he arguably messed up following a duff horse, and the other she beat Gala Marcial. Are we calling her?
Yeah, Gala Marcial. I'll go with that.
Yeah, calling her. Beat Gala Marcial 7 lengths. So for me, I just think Lossiemouth, the grey, will win, and I think Danny Mullins could, like we already mentioned, have a great Cheltenham Festival.
No, I'm with you on that one. To be fair, I think if it's good soft, I think I think she's the one to be on.
Yeah.
Right, the next race, the Albert Bartlett. So we've got this one, and we'll do the Mare's Chase, and then probably the Gold Cup. I don't think the Hunter's Chase is one to look at, but we'll have a look. Anyway, the betting for the Albert Bartlett. We've got Cooper's Cross.
Yeah.
2 seconds. I've just clicked off my. So the Albert Bartlett, we have Cooper's Cross at, once it loads, 72 Corbett's Cross, Embassy Gardens 7-1, 3-card Bragg 15-2, Hermes Elaine 8-1, didn't go in here, Hidden Valley Lake 8-1, Favore de Chamdou 10-1,
Yeah.
Sandaker Glen 10-1, Monty Star 10-1, Absolute Notions 12-1, 14-1. The rest, have you got a strong pick in this?
I don't really know. I don't have a massive opinion. I've never really been a big fan of the Albert Bartlett, to be honest.
It's been a decent race last couple of years, to be fair.
It's been a decent race, but I never seem to get it right, to be honest.
There's plenty of similar types in there. I think it's a little bit of similar to a bumper this year. You just got to throw a dart in up, one sticks, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of, like you say, a lot of improvement in all of these horses, and it's trying to throw a dart on the horse that you think improved the most. The one I have landed on, and is a bit of a price, is Absolute Notions. I think the run last time was very, very good behind Goodland. Was closing. I think the extra distance will help.
Mm-hmm.
And the time before that, she was third over 2 mile 4. Was staying on. Seemed, for me, it was a sort of a fitness run though. When you look back, I'm just looking at it now, and she won Beat Deep Cave by 3 lengths in a maiden hurdle. And then she went straight to Grade 2 Company, where she got beat by 4 lengths. But for the step up, I didn't think she ran too bad. And then she goes and finishes second in a Grade 1. I mean, she's improving. She beat Sandor Clegane by 2 lengths. And I think they're 1.5 lengths behind Goodland, staying on, puts her in very good stead. And I do think 12-1 is a pretty big price.
No, it's a good shout. I think it's a good shout, to be fair. I think the one I've landed on is Monty Star. I think it was second behind Shambally Kid, but it was only his first run over hurdles, and I think it's Grade 3 next time, beating Hidden Valley Lake. It's good form. 100%. I think he beat him quite snug. I know he was giving weight away, but I thought he looked really snug. I thought this guy's going to have a lot of improvement. I thought it could be a little bit of a class act in the race going forward. I think 3-card Bragg would be a good shout if it comes up soft, but I think it's probably not going to be soft. But if it does come up, if there's rain, I'd be all over him, to be fair. But I think my pick for this one is Monty Star. I like Sandor Clegane early on, but yeah, I've gone off him. I think Monty Star is my stronger pick. And I think at 10-1, I'll have him all over each way. I don't think Corbett's Cross is going to run, but we'll see. The run over 2 miles is a bit of an interesting one. Yeah. Obviously, it shows a pretty class horse to be able to drop back to 2 miles and still win. Emmett Mullins, don't know what he's going to do, and obviously JP's bought him as well. So that's an interesting one. Embassy Gardens can't have him. And Hermes Allen didn't go away. So, yeah, I think my pick for this one's going to be Monty Star 10-1 each way.
Yeah. And the only little sort of worry about my horse that I'll sort of say, and I've noted down here, the sort of kink in his armour, in the Grade 2 where he got beat by 4 lengths, it was soft.
Yeah.
And then he's reappeared 2 months later in good ground over 2 miles 6 and come second. So I think for me, I'm siding with Gordon Elliott's 2. If it's soft, I'll probably lean towards 3-card Bragg. Like you said, I thought it was a good run against In the Pocket. And it definitely showed off that run that he wanted further.
Yeah.
And if the ground's good, I really do think Absolute Notions has a great chance.
Nice one. Right, last couple then. We'll go over the Mare's Chase. Pretty short and sweet for me, this one. I think Allegory de Vassy. I've been a fan of Imperious the whole season. I backed against her when she beat Journey with Me. Probably shouldn't have done, but I did. But I think Allegory de Vassy, I know people are going on about the jumping right and maybe a bit iffy jumps, but I just think she's got an unbelievable engine. I think she'll absolutely batter these. I think Impervious, she's a good horse, but she does seem to take chances at offences for me. I'm not sure she's going to get around me, to be honest. She's been so close on a couple of these last final flight jumps where it could have gone either way. I think Allegory de Vassy is the class act in the race. I think she's going to absolutely bolt up in this. Jeremy's Flame, can't give her a chance. Magic Days, maybe an each way squeak, but for me, Allegory de Vassy is the one to be on.
Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. Short and sweet. Like you said there, Impervious has been pretty guessy when the going gets tough, shall we say. And I think Algerida Vassi with the engine will just be alongside her, pestering her. And I think she will force mistakes out in Impervious. Yeah, that's the one. I think she'll force out mistakes, and I think that'll be the main thing, which Impervious sort of has never had. When you look through a run, she's never had a horse alongside her, and obviously a horse that's gone past her. And I think once Algerida Vassi is making a battle right to the end, I think you could see a few mistakes, and I can just see her staying on up the hill and, bringing it home for the Rishi camp.
No, I agree. I completely agree on that. Right, so have you got an opinion on the Hunter's Chase, or should we go straight for the final race and go for the Gold Cup?
Do you know what, mate? I don't. It sort of put me off, really, because last year I was on Winged Leader when Billaway come up and stole it off me, and I was on a 10-1, believe it or not.
Oh, no.
So I was gutted, but it's not really a race that interests me this year, to be honest, mate. I think there's some really good races in there. It's one I'll probably look at, closer to the day, probably try and find value in there, really. But in terms of, do I fancy anything now, or have I seen anything of any horse? Not really, to be honest, mate. What about
The
you?
other one I like in there is Ferns Lock, and he's not going to run, so I think next year he could be a real player, but I think Volsoleil is probably going to win this. But it's not a race I've got any sort of opinion on, to be honest.
No.
Right then, the last race of the evening, and we're going to go for the Gold Cup, which is obviously turning into a bit of a superstar race this year. We've obviously got the enigma that is Galopin des Champs, 15-8, Brave Man's Game, 13-2, Aplutard, 8-1, Noble Yeats, 9-1, 9-1 Statler, 12-1 Conflated, 14-1 Ahoy Signor, and 14-1 the rest. Who's your Gold Cup pick then? Finishes off.
Aplutard.
Oh, you're going to Aplutard, yeah?
Yeah, he's been there. He's done it. I think you can't really write off the last run because, well, you can and you can't. I mean, for me, you sort of look at the lineup and I think Brave Man's Game, no, not really. Statler stayed on behind Galopin, but should improve. But with Galopin being the number one string, I can't see much improvement. Shishkin looks in the is on the market here, which won't go. Conflated, I'm not a great fan of. Ahoy Senor is a wild one. And I just keep looking at the race and I think Plutard, second the year before, was in the race again last year, stayed on impressively. I backed him straight after the race again for this year, and I was gutted when he pulled up the last day. But I still think there's something in there for him to go here. I think even if he doesn't run his best race, I think he places, and I think this is definitely the value. I think if the last run wasn't there, he'd be fighting favourite with Galopin. I know you say if, because horse racing is all if and buts. And I would also give a small mention to Noble Yeats, being pretty impressive and has got a pretty strong, for me, turn of foot after a long, long race. Problem for me with Noble Yeats is he likes to race quite far off the pace, and I do think in a Gold Cup that's probably will be ran pretty fast, he could get too detached and have too many lengths to make up going up the hill. Especially if horses like Galopin des Champs stays the trip and a Plutard turns up. I think he could be too far back. But if he's around there, I wouldn't knock him for a place. I think he's one of the strong ones who you could get a bit of solid money for.
No, I think that's not a bad shout. Like I say, I do think he seems to get outpaced, doesn't he, and then stay on. Will it be too much for him? The Gold Cup pace, I think. Quickly running through, I think Galopin des Champs is. I do think he is an aeroplane. I do think he is up there with Constitution Hill type. Obviously, it's first crack at a Gold Cup trip. It looks like he could stay. Obviously, the last run was pretty impressive. He's beaten them with pretty well. He's beaten them with ease, really, going away at the line. So I do think he's got a great chance, but I am going to take him on. I think at the price, I think he's a bit short for a Gold Cup. Brave Man's Game, not for me. I don't think he'll stay this trip. I think he's all right on a flat track. Flat track 3 miles, Kempton, fair enough. King George, but I think the home press was giving lemps away, jumping left, and obviously come up lame after the fall. Something just wasn't right. So he's probably won a poor King George in the end when you look back at the form.
Yeah, 100%.
Aplutard is obviously the one that if he's back to form of last year's win, you've got to be on him. It was an absolute demolition job last year's Gold Cup. Will it be the same again? Maybe, but pulling up at Aydock, no show in the next run as well. It's just too big of an if. You're backing on the hope really that he's back to what he was last year. Noble Yeats again. I think he'll be outpaced. Not be able to keep up this sort of pace. I think it'll just be one little step too far for him. And the one that I've landed on.
Does it begin with an S?
It certainly does. And it ain't Shishkin. It's Statler. I'm going to go for Statler each way at 9-1. I think he was staying on in behind Galloping Deschamps last time out. He looked out pace. It weren't really run to suit. It was obviously staying on at the end. I think he stays all day. Obviously, he's won the national chase. He goes at Cheltenham. They go off fast in a Gold Cup. I think if he's there or thereabouts, he does have the pace to stay with the Gold Cup pace, although he might be a little bit outpaced, but not as dramatic as maybe a Noble Yeats might be. I think he will be there or thereabouts. Yeah, and I think he's gonna have a real good chance. I definitely think he'll be in the first three. Yeah. But yeah, I think that'll be my pick each way at 9-1. Ahoy Senor, it was one I liked. I backed him every time against Braveman's game, but he just can't jump. So he's not going to get round for me. But he'll hopefully take him up around at a good pace. And yeah, I don't really give anything else a real chance, so I'm going to stick with Statler each way at 9-1.
And I'm going to stick with a Plutard each way.
Lovely. So finishes off then, Joe. What is your nap for day 4?
My nap for day 4, let me just look, would be Absolute Notions each way if the ground is good. Really keen on that one.
Right, I will nap Allegory Devassi in the Mare's Chase. I think she's going to take the world of beating, and I think she'll be finishing off plenty of Accas for me, no doubt.
Hopefully, mate. Fingers
and that wraps it up, Joe, mate. How do you feel after all that? I think that was a good. Hopefully, people have enjoyed our little preview of that, and yeah, I think overall it's been quite a good little stint. That.
Yeah, 100%. Fingers crossed. Just one question I do have: do you have any handicaps?
Oh yeah, sorry, handicaps. Yeah, I've not really looked, to be honest. It's more of an on-the-day thing for me personally. Yeah. So to be honest, I've not really got anything in the handicaps. I might post a couple on our Twitter page later on if once I've had a good look or once we're a little bit closer to the day.
Yeah. 100%.
See how the prices fall. Have you got a couple you'd like to mention before we finish up?
I do. I'm just going on to the race now, but I can tell you, if this horse turns up, I would really fancy it. In the Boodles, Beau Zenith. Got a pretty good mark for me. Her first run from France wasn't her at all. I mean, let me just go on the.
It's gone from my mind as well. He come over from France, looked like it wasn't him turning up really. And then he won well the next day. I think there was plenty of improvement. I don't think it was 100% horse that day. And I think after he got beat Blood Destiny in France.
Blood Destiny, I think they were always targeting this race. And I think, have you got the price up there? I think he's priced around 14-1.
Yeah, I've just remembered I do also have one for the Boodles, actually. One that I'm actually fancy, but it's the only handicap one I've actually looked at. But
right. Yeah,
so Beau Zenith is 14-1. 14-1 Beau Zenith.
14-1. If you look at the horses in there, I do think a few of them won't go. And I think if Beau Zenith goes, I think he could be pretty short. And I do, like I say, I did see a stat earlier on in the week when I was having a look through all the races. And there's a lot of horses that come over from France, especially to England, who don't perform on the first race. It's very different, and I think this one could take a while to get used to, but I definitely think he's got a handicap in him, and I think his rating is pretty low considering the type of horse he beat in France.
No, I think it's a good pick. I think my only pick in the Boodles, I quite like Burns horse Biker. I think you can get around 8-1 currently. I quite like that one. He's got some good form. He run a good race behind Sir Alan last time out, but he looked very, very tentatively handled, do you know what I mean, staying on. So I think he got a decent mark. I can't remember the mark actually. 128 he got.
Yeah.
So he's off 10 stone 12. I think it's a good weight. I think he's been laid out for this race. So my pick in the Boodles would be Biker at 8-1 each way. And what's your last? You say you had one more?
Yeah, I have one more. Just a quick mention in the Coral Cup, HMS Seahorse.
Nice.
I backed him the last day, and he won going away. He's a fast horse. He finished 4th in the bumper last year, if I'm right in saying. Or the handicap, was it?
I think the handicap, yeah.
Yeah, the handicap, that Brazil one. He finished 4th in that because I backed him there when the Rishi horse got pipped.
Gaelic Warrior, yeah.
Gaelic Warrior, yeah, jumping out all the time. But no, I like this one. I think 10-1's a good price again. I think he's been targeted for this race ever since the start of the season when he moved over to the flat. I think he's gone to the flat, come here. They've run him just enough times to give him a mark, to get him in this race. And I think he could be a good thing and he is pretty ground versatile. So I do like that one. Even though he's flatbred, he's got, even though he's ran over the flat, he can also act on the soft ground.
No, good pick, mate. That's a good pick. No, I like it.
Yeah.
Right, well, that sort of wraps it up for us, mate. I think what we'll do is we'll put out. I think we'll put a bit of a tweet out. We'll put our picks on Twitter. We'll do a bit of a James v Joe type scenario where we'll see see how they get on.
Yeah,
and hopefully this will be out on YouTube tomorrow or on Tuesday. And we'll hopefully be out on Spotify as well. So we're going to really hammer all this on there, and hopefully anyone who listens has a good opinion of it and hopefully pick some winners out of it as well. Any closing notes off you, mate?
No, not really. Just like I say, naps of the day. I'd say my value at the moment is definitely. I ripped Mighty Potter. I think 6-4 is. Hello?
Yeah, mate, go on. 6-4 is value. Hello, can you hear me? Have we lost him? We got all the way to the end. I don't know if you can hear me, Joe. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll finish this up now. Yeah. But like I say, have a good week. Don't go too hard on any bets. I think don't chase it. If you have a couple, even if you don't have a good day on day one, just steady away. Just play the horses you fancy and enjoy the week. Really, don't ruin it by lumping too much money on. I'd say that's my take on that. So yeah, I think that'll do us, and hopefully we'll see you all next time on episode 2 of the Final Flight, which will probably be a Cheltenham review of the full week. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.